in Ikeja, when there is light, there is light. But when they start doing the madness of taking the light, it becomes very irresponsible because I think there was a period of 6 months where we only had electricity in the night. Yes, there are a lot of people that want to work in Nigeria, but majority of people that want to work don't have the skill set that you need to be able to deliver good work. So therefore, going into Nigeria, you should expect to put in a lot into getting people up to speed or training people up first before you can then expect them to deliver any useful product for you. But one thing we found in Nigeria that was very interesting is that it doesn't matter what you say you're looking for, everyone's going to apply. In our experience in Nigeria, it was like everybody, no matter what they studied or no matter what their experience were, they were applying for our jobs. It was more about, they consider it a job, like, someone who applies like, oh, I'm very trainable, you can train me. I'm like, no, I'm not looking for someone I want to train from scratch on how to use a computer.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Lost Lagosians, a podcast covering topics about Lagosians, Nigerians, and Africans in diaspora, as well as trending topics and challenges of Lagosians in diaspora. I'm your host, Brother Mike. Today with me, I have a very special guest who has started a business in Nigeria and was running the business remote from the United States. I have him on this show just so he can share with us some of his experiences and his advice on how to do this for those who are interested in starting a business in Nigeria. Without further ado, welcome, Roland, and thanks for your time. Thanks for being here.
Sure. Thanks very much. Pleasure to be here. How are things going with you?
Very well. It's snowing today up here. We had a bit of snow.
Not bad.
So kind of looking forward for the snow to clear off so we can, start driving.
Yeah, and get back to life.
Get back to life. Yep. So if you don't mind me asking, what sector were you focused on when you started your business in Nigeria? And can you tell us more about what your target audience was and what your business strategy was in general?
So going into Nigeria, it was more in the space of technology.
Technology?
Yeah, in technology, in tech. Pretty much we had a .NET shop. All of our main office was in Ikeja. We had multiple projects from multiple US companies, and we pretty much trained the staff to continually help us to deliver the projects that we took on from the diaspora.
Was this more of like a training company or more of an IT project delivery company?
It's more of a project delivery company. So if you even think about it in comparison, you want to compare to things like the Wipros of the world from India running consultancy services.
So how was the experience finding labor, people to work in Nigeria?
Finding people to work in that space was significantly challenging. Was more challenging than we expected. There are a lot of players in the market, especially for the high-end players around the Microsoft, the Facebook, the Googles, wherein they had unlimited resources in how much they are willing to pay people. And playing against those ones. So pretty much you can imagine the best of the best went to those guys. And then trying to weed through the rest of the stuff was quite an interesting challenge. I and my partners went into Nigeria thinking, there's going to be a plethora of resources. So if there's a plethora of resources, what that just means is that pricing can be suppressed. That's not the case. If you're looking for a targeted set of skill sets, majority of the time you have to pay a little bit more for the skill set. The most interesting part is for those that don't fully have, as in you might not fully find people that have all the skill set that you want. So you have to be a little bit more flexible and willing to train people to the level you want them to. And then unfortunately, you have to pay to keep them. So you pay to find them, you pay to train them, and then you have to pay to keep them, because if you don't keep them very quickly, they become very finished and refined resource for other companies to pouch and enjoy the works of your services.
So it's not just as easy as I'm going to go to Nigeria, find people to work for me, and kumbaya, everything is going to be great.
Well, I think it all depends on what you're looking for, right? So if you're looking for mediocre service, maybe you can just find random people off the street or off of the schools to come and work for you. But we work in an industry wherein people understand what good quality means. And if you want to be able to stand by the quality of the work that you've provided, then you have to set certain guidelines and certain rules. And in order to match those rules, yes, you need a specific set of skill set. And given that most of my partners were remote as well, there's also a certain level of responsibility that we expect and look for in the folks that we hired.
So in summary, this is more of an IT shop.
Yes, it was an IT consultancy shop. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. So IT consultancy shop, and you got a lot of projects. And I mean, people say like places like India, they're very successful with things like this. But I believe Nigeria is actually primed, for this kind of services because we have a lot of labor force available. But what you're saying is that may not really be the case because not all laborers are equal in terms of their experiences and their expertise, as well as their work culture.
That's very correct. Yes, there are a lot of people that want to work in Nigeria, but majority of people that want to work don't have the skill set that you need to be able to deliver good work. So therefore, going into Nigeria, you should expect to put in a lot into getting people up to speed or training people up first before you can then expect them to deliver any useful product for you. You also need to train them up right. After they are trained, you have to be able to keep them motivated enough to continue to work on with you and stay with you, and hopefully try to get those that have gone through the training sessions or gone through the training period to help guide the next set or the next batch of people that will come through the door. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in a continual loop of training people.
I see this as three steps. Number one, finding talent. Number two, training talent. Number three, retaining talent. So if we have these three pillars, what's your experience with the researching of candidates? And different parts of the world have different platforms or different companies that do that. Did you use any of them, or did you just use like word of mouth?
Off of my head right now, I can't remember we had three various networks that we used when we were looking for people. I can't remember them off of my head right now. Wherein we post our jobs, people sent their resumes or what they call CVs in Nigeria. People also sent their CVs we also had word of mouth. We had the employees that we employed initially to refer their friends, family, and refer, people they think that can do the job. We also leverage, there's a Facebook developer group as well, just for Nigeria, that targets Nigeria. We use that as well, posting our jobs over there as well.
Then going through the CVs or curriculum vitae, I mean, did you find that to be consistent with the interviewing session when you actually had people come in?
Oh man, that one was quite an interesting party. When we ask for resumes to be submitted or CVs to be submitted, we used to get like resumes in the thousands. I remember there was a period of time we were looking to hire 3 more people, and we'll get like close to 1,000 to 1,500 CVs.
Wow.
And then it now became a challenge of, we clearly put out what we're looking for. We're looking for someone that has a little bit of .NET experience, and I had the experience working as a programmer. And because we're not looking for just random people off of the street, right? We want people that had like some basic idea of what programming is and how programming works and all that good stuff. But one thing we found in Nigeria that was very interesting is that it doesn't matter what you say you're looking for, everyone's going to apply.
Of course.
When they all applied, just taking time to start weeding through, using keyword search to weed out people that we don't need or try to find out people we need, became quite interesting. After finding the people you need, maybe you weed down from like 1,500 or 2,000 to maybe about 100 or thereabouts. So, you get to the hundreds, and then we start scheduling interviews. And then we go through the interview period. Our interviews were relatively rigorous compared to most of the interviews that people are used to. But we went through the interview process and weed out some more people. And we were looking for 2 people. We ended up sending out about 8 offers, and then see who's going to take or who's not going to take. So you can imagine the process is a little bit longer. Along the way, we potentially lost people that we might have hired that might have been good fit for us because they found something else. But we hired people, but it's a very time-consuming and rigorous process.
So the experience that you've described so far, a lot of it is similar to what you find anywhere else. Normally, like companies like Google, Facebook, for every position, I hear they get applicants in thousands. So it's not very uncommon.
I won't say it's exactly common. I won't compare it. The comparison is not apples and apples. Why I say like for the Googles and the Facebooks of the world, when they say, "Oh, I'm looking for a Ruby on Rails programmer," you're not going to find like completely random people like, "Oh, an accountant is trying to apply for a Ruby on Rails," right? So from that point of view, I think that was different. In our experience in Nigeria, it was like everybody, no matter what they studied or no matter what their experience were, they were applying for our jobs. It was more about they consider it a job. Like, someone who applies like, "Oh, I'm very trainable. You can train me." And I'm like, "No, I'm not looking for someone I want to train from scratch on how to use a computer. I'm looking for someone that has some, a little bit of experience. I've done a project in .NET or at least have some programming experience." So that differs a lot in that section. I hire in the US, so I have very good preview of, yes, we're putting out a job there, and then we get lots of resumes that we can easily screen and all that good stuff, right? The other interesting part in Nigeria is that they don't have one CV format. Like, in the US, you see many people have gone to like career fairs and gone to like training on how to submit resumes. So you can see their resumes are very well structured. This is my experience. This is the school I went to. These are my skill set, and then you can easily build keyword search on that, right? In Nigeria, people submitted resumes, man. I'm like, there is no one uniform format for resumes. It's all kinds of flavors of resumes. Some people include good information. Some people include completely irrelevant information. It's very different. So I think for us, it took a little bit of adapting and not trying to say, "Oh, why are they all so scrappy?" or "Why are they so crazy out there? Why are they doing things differently?" It took some time for us to adjust ourselves and just say, "Hey, this is not the US or this is not India," and then pretty much walk through that.
Thank you for explaining that. I think you're touching on a very important point here. Basically, is the case of unemployment, particularly where you guys were based out in Ikeja and Lagos, because the unemployment is so high. There's a tendency for people to apply for anything and all things.
I'm not sure it's a problem of unemployment. I think it's more a problem of underemployment. A lot of people might be working, but they've heard about the tech boom. And they think in the tech boom, they can make a lot of money. So everybody's very willing to switch their job. I remember some guy applied from the brewery. He works at the brewery as a butler, right? And I'm like, "What experience do you have programming?" He's like, "Oh, guy, I can learn." I'm like, "Okay, I did not say you cannot learn. The question I ask is, what experience do you have?" Yes, it's true. Some of these kids have degrees from universities, and maybe they couldn't find a job and just accepted whatever jobs they found. Those type of people are a project by themselves, right? So yeah, it was kind of sad talking to some of those people or going through some of these resumes. It was just what it was, right? So we have to weed out the people we need and then move on with that.
Unemployment meaning that they had a job, but they were not satisfied. They wanted to do something.
They are underemployed, right? So you imagine finding someone that says, "Oh, I have a degree in computer science," but then he's working at the breweries, either running.
What do you mean breweries?
Yeah, brewery, as in Guinness or Stout or one of those places.
Oh, okay. Or Coca-Cola.
Yeah, like Coca-Cola, exactly. Yeah. I think for the Coca-Cola and the soft drink guys, they call those one bottling companies or whatever they call them. But for the liquor, the liquor ones are the breweries where they make the beer and all that.
Okay, so they want to because I went to school to be an electrical engineer, for example.
Yeah.
And I'm working, at Nigerian Postal Service or somewhere.
Something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then because of the degree I got, they assume that they have the qualification to work as a programmer. But we all know the longer you are away from programming, the more rusty you are, right? So given that you didn't even have the best of educations in the first place, and then you've not even worked in that field, coming in off the street, that for me personally, I just thought that was just a project that we could not take on at that point in time, at the beginning. So yeah, it was challenging. But that's the kind of things that we found.
Yeah.
The other good part about it is that, yes, there were some crooked parts to the process. The good part about it is that we had like a diverse amount of applicants that got to apply. We able to get applicants from the north, applicants from the east, applicants from the west, applicants from all over. I think we hired one kid from, I believe he moved from Zaria to Lagos to work for us. It was surprising. Like he barely could speak, English the way we speak it today. He knew what he was doing. He could, you give him a computer, he could do a lot of wonders on a computer. And if we did not cast our net far and wide, we would not have found someone like him.
The other thing you also touched on is, resume is not being consistent. I know in the West, there's particular format, but in Nigeria, I think it'd be nice for the audience or the listeners to, I don't know if there are professional services that can help with building resumes. I think that goes a long way.
Well, I'm not sure. So I'm not sure it's the job of a professional service, because for most of these kids coming out of college, obviously they can pay for professional service to help them to write their CVs and what have you not, right? I think there's still some disconnect between what the schools are doing to prepare the kids as graduates. I did my undergrad in the US, and pretty much for one semester, we had a class called seminar, and pretty much the seminar class was pretty much prepare kids on how to do interviews, how to write resumes, like what's your resume supposed to look like. It's more like a job preparatory class, right? It's a one-unit class, but that's where you learn to write resumes. Your teacher actually reviews your resumes. They have what do they call it? Life coaches that come in. They have they invite people from the industry, from the various industries. We have seminar days where we all had to dress up, and we used to hate it because those are the days you have to wear suits to school, and everybody's looking like you look like a goon, but those things you cannot underestimate the value that those provide. I think many of the kids coming out of college in Nigeria, I'm not sure. I went to a little bit of college in Nigeria, so I don't remember. I went to Unilag, right? And I don't remember in my 4 years at Unilag, I don't remember them ever having anything like this.
Oh yeah, you went to Unilag.
Right? No one said, "Oh, this is how to write your CV. This is what you do." So the expectation is that if you graduate with all of these engineering ideas and all this engineering knowledge, and somehow you're supposed to be able to, figure out how to engineer, how to write your own resume or write your own CV. So what you end up finding is an engineer copying the CV of a typist, or engineer copying the CV of a secretary, and pretty much those are not the same thing. Like an engineer copying the CV of an accountant, I know how to use SAP, I know how to use Excel. Why do I care about that? And those kind of things. And I think the more interesting part is the culture also dictates a lot into how we write our CVs. The whole ideas of putting our date of birth on CVs, putting the names of references on CV, the name of your professor, the telephone number of your professor, and those kind of things. Those things were completely irrelevant to us. And that's why I think the whole idea of just copying CVs back and forth doesn't make any sense. Nobody can make anything customized. No one can make anything that is generic enough, that is a useful template. I think the departments and the schools would do a lot of service to the students if they could come up with something like that. If they can't make a class for it, they should at least provide a resource, say, hey, you're looking for a job or you're about to graduate, this is your final year. For 5 hours, come and hang out in the library and we'll coach you on how to make the right resume that fits the job that you're looking for. Right? And then you provide templates. I'm pretty sure they provide a template and everybody in the class will copy the same template. But notwithstanding, at least give them a variety of templates and prepare them for the future outside of school. That would be a kind of nice thing to have.
How about training? What challenges did you guys encounter? What challenges did you encounter with training the folks that you got on board?
So after, I'll say before we even get to the training, the interview process, people don't like when people change the interview process. That's what we figured out. So our interview process was I'll say it was in 3 parts. The first part was after we've done the resume screening and all that good stuff, we called you and we just had a chat, for 1 hour. You had
informal.
2 of me. Yeah. Well, I won't call it informal. It was formal because we're asking you programming questions, algorithm questions, and stuff like that. So we ask questions and we see. At that point, all we're interested in is how do you think? How do you go through a problem? We give you a problem. How do you solve problems? And stuff like that. You don't have to know the right answer. We just want to know how you think, right? We're looking for an analytical mind. After you go through that, if you're successful on that, we send you a programming challenge, and you have 3 weeks to solve the problem, right? You have to write the code by yourself without any help. We provide links. We provide library materials.
Useful resources
on a USB that you pick up in the office. And then you get 3 weeks to write this program. At the end of the 3 weeks, you schedule your time with us for 1 hour, and we ask you a question about the program you've written. You give us access to change things, and then we ask you, what did we change and stuff like that? Why is this broken? Why is this not working? Why did you write your code this way? Why didn't you do it? And stuff like that. And people didn't like that. There are some people that took an exception to that. But the thing is that for us, we were looking for a particular set of skill set. We were remote, and we didn't have as much leeway just to bring in anyone that could not deliver work for us. So people took an exception to that, and some people just didn't continue. On the flip side, there were some people that chose to be unsincere or irresponsible. I call it irresponsible in the fact that they actually paid people to write the program for them. Right? So, and then they show up at the interview or at the defense, and we ask questions, and they don't even know what's in the program. As in, it's one thing for you to pay someone to write the program for you. It's another thing for you not to even study the program that was written for you. Right? If I was going to cheat, I might as well have someone write the program, then I take some time to study the program so that I can defend the program. But they didn't do any of that either. So they come into the thing, and I'm like, oh, why do you have this function here? Oh, why do you name your variable this way? I'm like, huh? What variable? What's a variable? I'm like, what? So those kind of things. So this one, and it made, for some of these people, it made life very easy. Like, in the first 20 minutes, we know whether you wrote the program or not. Right? And like, it's one thing for you to ask for help. You can ask for help with it. We provided, for the 3 weeks, we provided a day a week wherein you could talk. We had access to one of my partners. If you had questions, you could come in. We had like office hours that they could come in and all that good stuff. Very few people took advantage of the office hours. It is what it is. And some people were very good. They wrote their program, they could defend their program, and obviously, they did well. So that was kind of an interesting way to go around doing that stuff. It allowed us to find people that we wanted and people that wanted to work for us.
So expect some people to be insincere.
Expect some people to be insincere, and expect some people not to want to change. I remember there were some kids, they were like, what's wrong with these people? What did they think? Who did they think they are? It's just a small company, so they just bounced. And that's fine. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be offended or feel bad about that. You know what you're looking for, and then you go for it. They knew what they're looking for. They knew they didn't want to have to take any extra stress for such a small company. So that's fine too.
What do you guys do to retain people?
The only thing to do to retain people in Nigeria is
pay, like salary, or give them monthly bonuses.
It's pay, salary. So some type of benefits, right? Whether it is flexible holidays, add a little bit of flexibility. So I think at some point, for some of our senior guys, they ended up working from home 2 days in a week, so they had to be in the office 3 days, because we also have to depend on as the company continued to grow, the people got higher in the ranks. We were hoping, and I won't say hoping, we actually depended on the senior ones to train up the new ones that came through the door, right? So if they are not in the office, training became very difficult, because at home, we can't control what they're doing at home. So they're remote. So obviously, this doesn't date very well. Now we're in the period of Corona and everybody. Yeah, but notwithstanding, still, that's going to be a challenge forever that people have to figure out. And then in some cases, some people will come and say, hey, I got a new offer. I'm like, okay, can I match your offer? And then you stay. And for those times they stay, then until someone comes with an offer, I'm like, okay, you know what, I can't match your offer. All the best. And there were times like that. I think there was a kid that got a job and that flew him to Germany. There was no way I could offer him anything. Right? He didn't go to Germany to go to school. He literally got a job with a German company from working for us, and he moved to Germany. They moved him to Germany. So, what am I supposed to do to match that? I can't match that. Yeah. So it is what it is. For us, our goal for him was done. We were very happy. We've impacted his life. I remember when we got him on board, he was very scrappy, but that he could work for us for 4 years and then got good enough to go like interview abroad in a software company, and that was it's a thing of pride for us too. So that's one of our alumni that will continue to say good about us. So we cannot fault that.
So how about NEPA and the power system as well as the infrastructure? Do you mind touching on that a little bit for us?
That's a different problem. That's a different problem all by itself. Infrastructure-wise, we had significant challenges with electricity. In Ikeja, when there is light, there is light. But when they start doing the madness of taking the light, it becomes very irresponsible, because I think there was a period of 6 months where we only had electricity in the night. Obviously, during the day when the people were working, there was no electricity. So we had to have backup solutions. So I think we ran 2 generators and an inverter, because we were on the top floor, so it tends to be very hot in the afternoon. So we had to run the ACs to keep the machines from dying and to keep the people comfortable and all that good stuff. And given that most of my partners were abroad, in order for us to be able to do our daily stand-up, we had to meet with the developers every day, just to, as we're training them and also providing guidance on how to do work. So that became a challenge for us. The internet also was quite challenging. Even though they were pricey solutions, they were not as consistent as what we're used to in the West. I don't remember us ever getting anything close to 500 Mbps in Nigeria. I don't remember. I think the best that we got was like 100 Mbps at any point in time.
Wow. And you can't do much with that.
I wouldn't say that. we were able to work successfully with it. But it's not the best that you can find out there. At one point, we considered moving to fiber. We were a small company of about 10 to 12 employees, and they were asking for, I think at that point, it was almost $3,000 every 3 months.
That's like $1,000 a month, which is about, in today's currency, 570,000, 560,000 naira.
Yeah, they were asking approximately that. I think if I go through my email, I can find the quote. It was about 1.3 million every quarter. To get fiber, to run fiber to us. And I'm like, as in, how much will I make? As in, to be sincere, we could make money to pay for it, but I could not justify paying that much money for the internet.
So how did the banks, how did those guys do it?
Yeah, they pay for it. I'm 100% certain they pay for it.
Well, because some banks, they're always down.
Well,
like I was in Nigeria recently, I went to some banks, they'll be like, oh, we don't have data. Like a whole bank. They'll tell you to come back.
Yeah, no, that's true. So remember, in Nigeria, there are I believe there are 2 major providers of fiber. That will be Globalcom and Main One.
Okay.
And every other person subscribes from them. The chances of both of those things going down is very high. And the chances that a bank paid for both of them is very low, right? So it's very pricey. So you can't afford to pay for 2 of them. You can't afford to pay for redundancy. So what you end up doing is just, choosing one, and then you live and die by the one you chose. So if a bank has chosen Main One and the Main One has maintenance, or they have a disruption,
outage,
yeah, then you have an outage, right? So, and then the banks or whoever needs to then determine what is a permissible level of outage that doesn't impact your business too much, right? So, and that's between the bank and those people to have an agreement. So that will always happen, even for us that decided to go with the radio internet. So we ended up subscribing to like 3 or 4 of them at every point in time, so that if one goes down, there's always one available, because we want to always be connected. So redundancy is quite an interesting thing in Nigeria. We pay through your nose to pay for redundancy.
Did you have any situation where employees were abusing the internet usage?
Are you kidding? That's to be expected.
And how did you stay on top of that?
I'm not sure you can stay on top of that. You can limit it. You can tell them what the policies are. You can tell them, you can advise them on what the punishments are for if you have been caught. I remember we caught a kid that pretty much installed BitTorrent and was just downloading movies while he was at work. In those cases, for kind, as in, yeah, we were not very how I call it. The repercussions were not strong enough. I'm pretty sure with time, if there were more and more doing them, would probably have made an example of one of them and hopefully deter the rest of them from doing it. But see, even in the US, no matter where you go, there will be a small factor of people that will still take advantage of whatever you provide.
So as an employee moving to Nigeria, those are the kind of things you have to think about. The other thing I had in mind was the issue of the Lagos state taxes and taxation in general. How are you guys able to walk through that?
So taxation in Nigeria is kind of interesting. So we had to deduct taxes for our employees and then make sure that we pay those taxes to the Lagos state government, so that those employees would then be qualified to get their tax clearances at the end of the year. So that we did. That was an interesting, just getting that process set up was quite an hassle. And then having at the end of each month, we had to pay a messenger to go deliver that stuff for us. That was interesting too. And then at the end of the year, you had to prepare your books. But in Nigeria, it is required that you have an auditor. So unlike in the US, wherein it's based on complete trust that you don't lie, and then they randomly choose a set of people to audit and stuff like that. In Nigeria, in order to submit your document, it has to come with the auditor's note, right? Saying that, oh, I've gone through the books, I've audited these people, and these people did right by you. Right? That was very different. And all of these things are expensive. And then, given that we've only done most of our business in the US, we were not very privy into the whole idea of the VAT or VAT. That was kind of new concept and interesting to us. I think the laws are decently clear enough that if you abide by them, I think you should be fine.
So would you recommend people getting an office manager?
Oh yeah, yes. So we did. One of the things that helped us a little bit was that we had a local office manager. I'll call him an hybrid manager.
Why hybrid?
Because with the concept of office manager, you're thinking of, he only just runs the office, right? He doesn't only runs the office for us. He does everything for us, right? He's the one that, will take care of paying the cleaners, hiring a cleaner, hiring someone to come and service the generator. He's the one that, he's pretty much our face on the ground that pretty much liaisons with like local authorities, the tax office. When we had issue with the tax office, we could not show up in person. He's the one that can go over there and show up and stuff like that. So he wore a lot of hats. He's the one that was also our ears on the ground, when people show up to the office and decide to take 3 hours lunches, he's more of our ear on the ground. Obviously, we can't be connected to the office 24/7, looking over their shoulder, but at least he can give us feedback at the end of each day or sometimes at the end of each week about how things went.
Any other final parting thoughts as we wrap up this episode?
Doing business in Nigeria is not impossible, and doing business in Nigeria is definitely not easy, but it's very doable. There are a lot of untapped potential that is out there. There are opportunities. But those opportunities are not going to come. Is not going to come easy. But there are opportunities to make money. There are opportunities to. One thing I didn't mention before is that our goal going to Nigeria was not about making money. Making money was secondary. It was more about our way to give back. Right? We're products, as in all of my partners. We all actually. Let me think about that. So there are 4 of us that went into this venture together. And 3 of us are Unilag products, right? And we just thought, what little thing can we give back? And in the long run, all the kids that came through our door, I can proudly say that when they left us as better people, right? They left us with better opportunities. They left us with better potentials for their lives. Like, no one worked in our company and went on to a lesser thing. They all went on to bigger things. And for us, that's something we take pride in. And that's our little way of giving back. So there are a lot of potentials for those that are looking to go back home and do stuff. Don't be discouraged by the challenges, but prepare for the challenges. We were ill prepared for the challenges that we faced. So that's why the challenges look like, mind-boggling to us. But if you go in understanding that there are going to be challenges, understanding what the challenges are going to be, I think you'll be in a better position than we did when we went in.
So that's a really important topic you just brought up, because a lot of people think that folks who come from diaspora to start a business in Nigeria is just about money. But what most people don't know is that most of the guys who go to Nigeria go back home to start businesses. They're actually successful and they're doing very well by themselves. And they're not necessarily starting a business in Nigeria just because they want money. That reminds me of an interview I was watching by one of the airline owners. I think is Air Peace. His name is Alan Onyema. And the guy was talking about how his passion was to solve unemployment. And he figured he could do it. And that's why he started the airline. So most people think, well, everybody in business, especially those from diaspora, they're here just to make money. But I think your comment really, really highlights the fact that that is not always the case, because we're from this place and we want to help alleviate people from poverty and provide opportunities for them. So that's really, really a good point you made. And I'm very, very glad you did make that point.
Yeah, so for us, I didn't think we have that big goal. So the goal of, we want to alleviate people from poverty, that was not our goal. Obviously, we knew, for us, we didn't think of that. I think the thinking for us going in is how many people can we touch? Nigeria is too big. Nigeria has way too many problems. But if I can touch 10 people and you can touch 10 people, and then all of us in the diaspora can touch 10 people, that would be a significant lot that we ended up touching. I think through our company, we've been able to impact several, close to over 100 people that we know we've equipped them with something that is useful for their future. They can go anywhere else. They all went. Some of them went to work for bigger banks. Some of them went to work for bigger shops, right? One of them got a job with Microsoft. When he was working for us, we were paying him how much? 200 a month, 200K a month. He went to work for Microsoft and he was earning almost 3 times that. Now he has the tool. When he came to work for us, Microsoft would not have hired him, knowing what we know he knew.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, before he came to work for you, Microsoft
before he came to work for us.
Yeah.
So we provide them with the tools for them to better their lives. Hey, you cannot ask for any more than that, right? So that's why I said everybody have different agendas. Figure out what your agenda is in Nigeria and go in there, execute on it. If it works out, great. If it doesn't work, try again.
Thank you so much. That does it for us, guys, on today's episode. Just a few takeaways from this episode is primarily as citizens, a lot of times people think, the government is this, government is that. But we citizens, we can actually do a lot by providing opportunities. And that's what kind of Roland has discussed with us today. We also talked about things like resume building and the issue of the culture and how we can help, impact people and make Nigeria a better place for everybody. There's a lot of nuggets in this episode. Please feel free to kind of play back and kind of rewind and listen to the different nuggets in it. Again, I want to thank our guests for being here today. Roland, really, really enjoy having you on. It's a pleasure as always. If you have any questions, you can email us at lostnegotiations@gmail.com. If you'd like to be part of an upcoming episode, you can also send us an email there. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at Lost Negotiations. And more importantly, we recently launched our YouTube channel. If you are not currently subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, share, like, and comment. We'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you for listening and have a good day. Bye now.
Bye.